Today's video is a happy one because it represents a victory for common sense and reason and a visible pushback to the disease that is wokeness. It's also a follow-up to two videos I've posted in the last week or so I apologise for sounding like a scratched record because once again I must mention the transgender influencer and open mockery to all that is truly feminine, Dylan Mulvaney. For legal reasons, I'll be using she and her pronouns and referring to Mulvaney as a woman, despite she being a biological male. So Mulvaney has signed a number of sponsorship deals, two of which I've covered on this channel. So she was modelling women's sportswear for Nike, despite not being an athlete or a female. Can't have me on that one. And also for that carbonated piss masquerading as a beer, Bud Light. And the effect of having Mulvaney as a brand ambassador for Bud Light is starting to show. Mulvaney recorded two adverts for Bud Light, one where she was drinking beer in the bath and the other as a vile parody of possibly the prettiest woman who's ever lived, Audrey Hepburn, in her role as Holly Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany's. For those two adverts, Mulvaney was paid $150,000. That's a lot of money. However, it's cost Bud Light a lot more than that. Since partnering with the trans influencer and shrieking weirdo, global sales of Bud Light have dropped by 70%. And at the time of recording, the value of Bud Light's parent company, which I think is pronounced Anheuser-Busch, its value on the stock market has dropped by $6 billion. That's the general public sending a very clear message. We didn't ask for this, we don't like this, we don't want this. Bud Light have responded, saying they're trying to modernise their brand and shake off the image of Bud Light being for frat boys and guys watching the game. Frat boys and guys watching the game, that's their fucking customer base. I've said this before, I find it hard to believe that Bud Light are so tone deaf to their customer base. It's the equivalent of Ferrari announcing that all its new cars will be fitted with normally aspirated 3-cylinder diesels, or Greenpeace organising a competition to take people seal clubbing. As yet, I've not seen what effect having Mulvaney model sports bras has done for Nike, but I have seen that the stock price for Adidas is going through the sodding roof. Hopefully this is the wake-up call that companies need to drop the woke crap. Because Bud Light can't give them one reason, it could give them 6 fucking billion. Of course, the Order of the Eternally Offended have taken to social media and they've tried to spin this using all the ists and isms to say this is transphobia, but it isn't. A phobia is an irrational fear, and I always say this, I believe the vast majority of trans people are just trying to live their lives, and if that's you, I wish you the best on your journey. However, the trans community is really shit at policing itself. And it's a few hardliners who ruin it for everyone else. Hardliners like Dylan Mulvaney. So Dylan is 26 years old, but was paid 150 grand by Bud Light to mark 365 days, 1 year of essentially doing an insulting cosplay of a woman. Whereas an actual 26-year-old woman will have done around 9,500 days living as a girl, then a woman. Being born a girl, going through puberty, going to high school, maybe college and university, possibly getting pregnant and having a baby, or worse, getting pregnant and losing a baby. But I don't see Bud Light turning up to shovel money through any of their letterboxes. So it's clear then that unless a company is actively seeking to get its shareholders to commit suicide, Dylan Mulvaney isn't a good fit. However, I'm going to suggest someone as a brand ambassador. And if Bud Light employed her, they might turn this thing around. This is 22-year-old Riley Gaines, a swimmer who was forced to compete at the University of Kentucky against the transgender cheat and all-around arsehole Leah Thomas. If you're not aware, Thomas is a biological man who identified as a woman and got onto the women's swim team, where he started breaking records left, right and centre and eventually started clearly throwing races to cover up how much an advantage he had. Not only that, he was also depriving actual women from their place on the team. What a fucking tosser. And I can call him a tosser because he's still got a dick. Not only that, but Riley revealed that the women's team, the actual women, weren't warned that a trans woman would be sharing their changing room. So in the women's locker room, where these young ladies are going to be getting undressed and will be very vulnerable, they weren't told that a man with long hair was going to walk in and get his cock out. Now, I don't know the laws in Kentucky. In the UK, that's indecent exposure, and that will get you put on the fucking sex offenders register. That's the type of person that Leah Thomas is. A man who will identify as a woman will go into a women's changing room, get his junk out, traumatise them, then go to the pool and beat them and take the glory, even though he has a massive unfair advantage. And last week, Riley Gaines went to the University of San Francisco to speak out against trans women being in women's sports, something I completely agree with. And I said there's a problem with the trans community policing itself. When she got to the university, she was met by a mob who physically assaulted her and ended up barricaded in a classroom for 3 hours until the police could rescue her. Aren't trans people all about love and acceptance? So we've learned the adage "go woke, go broke" does apply, because Bud Light has lost $6 billion. And we've also learned that certain trans people have no problem beating women, be it at sport or physically attacking them. What a time to be alive. As ever, thanks for watching.